Welcome. This is an X-ray in the middle of the photos there, showing a gentleman's spine. It's not a severe scoliosis, is it? Compared to what others may have. But notice how it goes up to the right, back to the left, back to the right again. This obviously being the left side. There's the heart on the left, and there's the right side there. Now, this is my friend Dev here, and you can see that his neck is clearly over to the left-hand side of the center of gravity line. Now, when we get Dev to do this particular activity, again, this is without any gym equipment. This is simply resting your elbow on the table. It's his right elbow on the table. And we'll get him to do so for about 30-45 minutes. Then what we see is that the top part of the spine moves over to the right. Notice how the neck is actually to the right of the center of gravity line, whereas it was on the left over there. Now that was the 22nd of November. It is now the 26th of November. And it didn't take long for Dev to be able to bring this part of his spine over. Now, we're using postural photos as an interim measure. We don't want to have X-rays done to show us every particular technique. Ideally, the idea of correcting scoliosis has to be done without X-rays, because you'll be able to see for yourself using just normal postural photos that there is definitely a movement in here. At this stage, we're not entirely sure where the movement's coming from. Is it coming from this part of the spine which veers off to the left? So is it pivoting at that point there? Or is it pivoting at that point there, in which case that will actually make his scoliosis more noticeable, and it's like drawing a line going up in that direction and increasing the angle there. So after a few days of doing this particular activity, we're going to take an X-ray and we're going to see, well, where was the pivot point? Was it here at the concavity of the curve, or was it here at the convexity of the curve? Now, it would be more ideal if it was here and Dev was actually just brought over to the right-hand side. There's one more pivot point that we should consider as well. We don't want it to be occurring down in here. This part of the spine is already leaning to the right. Faint, yes, and Dev's curve has dropped from 21 degrees down to 12 degrees, but we don't want the pivot point occurring there. In other words, it's leaning all the way over to the right like that, or we don't want it occurring there, where it's again leaning over to the right in that direction. The ideal scenario is that we're getting Dev to pivot here, right here, again by doing this particular activity there, by just getting bored and leaning on his desk. Now, how many kids would do that at school without having a second thought about its influence on the spine? And I can tell you that some people do that an awful lot, even in their rooms at home. So let's be a little mindful as to how we sit down, because there's no doubt there is an influence on the body and where the body is centered, as you can see from this picture here 4 days ago to this one here, current 26th of November 2024. All right, thought I'd just share a little bit of information with you about the importance of getting bored when you're at school or when you're at home, and how you do that and what influence it's having on these postural photos. Stay tuned for the next update as we find out where the pivot point was. Was it again down low there? Was it here? Or was it up in here? And again, ideal if we can straighten this part up, which is going to the left, and just bring it into vertical. That would be ideal. All right. I look forward to sharing more information with you, probably within 7 days to 14 days. Keep posted and subscribe to this channel, and like the channel if you like the idea of self-empowerment. If you want more tips as to what you can do at home to be able to straighten your spine, by all means, click on the like button, click on the subscribe button, and leave a comment below just to let me know that you're listening. Thank you. My name's Daniel Dada, and I'm from Our Ladies Healthcare.